Hello, everyone, and welcome to day two of the $10,000 Pot Limit Omaha Bankroll Challenge. If you haven't checked out the footage from day one, I recommend you do check that out. But other than that, thanks for tuning in, and hopefully we have some interesting games today. So I just started relatively recently, played a few rounds, and managed to win one nice spot where I'm in an isolation raise with aces, really weak aces, and flopped aces full, and then stacked my opponent. It was a pretty good hand. So I'm going to be sticking to just 6 tables today, so that it's a little easier to follow the action. Yesterday I was playing 8, sometimes 9 windows with the hand player window, which maybe was getting a little out of control, a little difficult to follow the action. So it'll be a little bit of a slower pace today. Most of my tables right now are PLO 10. I am on a couple PLO 25 waiting lists. And oh, here's a new game joining, starting. So getting into that action. I actually, so far I haven't topped up at all. I'm just on the minimum buy for all my tables, and it's a tactic I like to use just to adapt my stack size to game conditions. I think it's facile to say you always want to have the most you can have on the table. It depends on your opponents. Sometimes, for example, if you're at a table with unknowns, well, you don't know, are they fish, are they rags? So it can be good to keep your stack size small while you are discovering that. Table 2, just a gut shot here. Going to check fold. You can against a loosened opponent out of position. Not really too much play there. And table 6, going to be leaving this table. Table 2, I think this is a good spot to bet fold. I've got a double gut shot now. I can make a straight with a 10 and a straight with a 7. And having straight outs, well, you can go either way. I mean, it's good to semi-bluff. But the main point there was that all my outs were very marginal. So a 10's not in the nuts because King Queen makes a higher straight. And a 7's not in the nuts because 10-8 makes a higher straight. I'm making 6-8. So, and there's a flush draw. So this really devalues our hand, and that actually makes it a better candidate for semi-bluffing because we don't really care if we get raised off it. Whereas if we had a stronger draw, but not a much stronger draw, to the point where we wouldn't mind the raise. Like if we had a very, very strong draw, like a wrap and a nut flush draw, then you don't actually mind the raise because you're a decent favorite to make the nuts by the river. But if we had, say, just a naked nut flush draw, then that's a hand where you don't really want to bet and call a raise. It might end up being that you would call a raise having bet, but it would be like a reluctant call because you've got 8 or 9 outs, and you're about 4-1 against hitting the turn. So we can check back with bottom 2 here. And pretty clear call, table 2, we get 3-bet. This guy's got a bit of a wider 3-betting range. Same situation here on table 3. And check folding both hands. After after we completely whiff the flop. And table 3, we're going to sit out as well as table 4. It's just all rags, or there's one fish here on table 3, but it's not really that profitable a situation when you've got 4 rags counting myself and 1 fish. You're basically just paying rake at that point. Um, maybe if he was a lot looser, if he was playing like 80% of hands, and presumably had a much higher loss rate per 100 hands, then you could make the case for staying. But even still, I think I would quit the game if it was 3 rags and one whale. Even table 2 here is very marginal because this guy with the 39-6 stats is like a break even fish probably. So game selection is important, and it's an ongoing process. Games get better, games get worse. You actually would have preferred a different seat there. All right. Oh, V Trader's coming in. All right, I'm gonna take a break there. I want to take a look at this footage. We'll be back real soon with part 2. This is going to be another long day, so there should be a good 3-4 hours of footage broken down into various parts. So thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. And stay tuned to see how the rest of the Bankroll Challenge goes.